about developing stories, we want to start on what has happened in the last few minutes at the industrial court. And I now want to bring in lawyers who are going to, of course, help us understand this particular move. And of course, we have Duncan Okatch. He is not a newbie here in News Centre. He is an advocate. Together with him is Oduor, who's also joining me for this conversation. He's also an advocate. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us in News Centre. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on this move to add 5 more days for the doctors to end the strike. I'll start with you, Jesse.
I think, thank you, Betty, for having us here. I think it was a good decision by the judge to further suspend the decision to not to jail the union officials. Right. We said it here last time we were here when that sentence was passed, that it amounted to the court twisting the union officials into negotiations. And I think that is actually why the strike has actually prolonged, because as we rightly put it, the government now has an upper hand. They have leverage because they can walk out of negotiation, give counter offers that are not meaningful to the unions because they know that these guys have a rope over their heads. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Duncan, I'd like to hear your thoughts. Were they going to go to jail for real? Was that going to happen? Or was it just to ensure that they call off the strike?
Betty, one thing that I was very sure of is that they were not going to go to jail today. Today they were not going to go to jail because what is at stake, and that is what my learned colleague is actually indicating, is actually so great, because they are the mouthpieces of these doctors. They are the only avenue through which this strike can be called off. They cannot call it off when they're in jail. In fact, it is even worse when they're in jail, because now there is no other greater fear that they will have. They will have already faced the jail sentence. It will actually galvanize doctors, not only in the public sector, but even in the private sector. That is why I thought it was wise for this particular judge to actually suspend her decision to see these particular individuals going to jail today. But it is also only a suspension. She has to play a very wise part in terms of balancing, because on the other hand, the law is very clear that if you're in contempt of court, you must face the music.
And that was my second question, because, I mean, it is really, the law is the law. But how comes is this twisting and, going round it? Is that the correct way to go about it, even if you're trying to see that this strike is called off? But, I mean, isn't that twisting the law? Jesse?
To some extent, yes, but then you realize that the court does not live in a vacuum. It has to be realistic to what is happening in the society. As my learned colleague puts it, once you've disobeyed a court order in contempt, you have to face the law. But then there is also a reality. The law does not operate in a vacuum. It has to be mitigated with the realities of the society. You realize that if these doctors go to jail, actually the strike, the doctors out there are going to be more psyched to continue because somebody is paying a price for that.
Right.
It's even going to whip public emotions. And I think the court had to come back to reality and realize, okay, fine, we can't jail these guys, but what is going to happen to the health sector? People are dying and people are suffering. But then it's only the officials who can call off the strike, and they can't call the strike off on their own. They are mouthpiece of doctors.
Of the doctors.
Yes.
So they also have to follow what the doctors
doctors
really want.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll come back to the conversation, but for now, I just want to